The numbers speak to me. I know what they are trying to tell me, but I just don't want to listen. That is why the synchronicities have been ramping up and even messing with me lately. This is the second part of the 3-part series, A True Story from a Smoking Owl Tales listener. In this part 2, I will tell you about how Anastasia, a girl I met on a dating app while I was living in a recovery house, gave me a contact with the intention of me meeting them to join a cult. And they say no narcissist family reunion is complete without calling the police. Yeah, Anastasia will do exactly that to try to get me, but the police knew the game, and they knew her story was BS. My name is Daniel Cross, and I am a targeted individual. I went from one bad situation to another. However, I could see the truth on the whole journey. So stay tuned for this gruesome affair, a dip in the journey of Daniel Cross.
Finding yourself in the talons of an owl in the shadows of the forest moonlight. It's a gruesome affair.
I felt demonic energy in that house, and like an addict who wants a fix, regardless of what it is. It could be crystals, it could be liquid, it could be a certain genre of videos. But what I was getting pulled into, the thing that I couldn't stop reading about and learning about and low-key practicing, was the occult. I couldn't lay off it. The occult. And this desire would lead to what started the gang stalking in my life. I wanted to be a member of the cabal. I know it's forbidden, distasteful, and unethical, but I felt seduced by the power and seduced by the forbidden knowledge. I was seduced by dark power, even though I didn't want to be. Some say you can't apply. You have to be invited, but there are pathways that lead there. There is a certain organization that meets in lodges. I wanted to meet them, meet there, and become a part of it. Anastasia knew some people in town, and she said she could set up a meeting. She gave me a phone number. She wrote it on a pink post-it note on the dining room table. She handed me the post-it with the scribbled number written on it with that blue ballpoint pen ink. I could feel the sticky top stripe of the post-it note on the backside with my index finger as I read what she wrote. Call Rick, redacted. It felt weird. I had a paranoid thought that she was somehow setting me up. She was, as the gang stalkers say, baking me a cake. I put the pink post-it note in my pocket, but that small square sheet of paper with the sticky stripe on the back, it felt like a stone. I took it out and studied the cursive handwritten information again and again. It was all I could think about. I knew I had the gift, and I thought that somehow this gift could finally benefit me inside a lodge with the lodgemen and revealing secrets. Secrets that most people and most of the bewildered masses of Zombie Nation do not want to know. If you tell them the truth, they will get angry. They will call you crazy. They will say you've been reading 4chan or listening to Alex Jones, whether you have or not, and whether they are saying the truth or not. They will say, "What, are you one of those guys who thinks the moon landing was faked?" They say this in a ridiculing, condescending, and haughty tone. Well, actually, that night, I pulled the post-it note from my right pocket and added it in the contacts of my phone. Rick. And then the number. The day after, in a moment of spontaneity, I hit the call button. "How can I help you?" I heard. "Yeah, hi, my name is Daniel, and I'm calling because I am interested in getting information about becoming a member at the lodge," I said. He asked me my name, some personal information, and contact details. "Step 1 is that we are going to need to receive a written and signed petition from you," he said. "Okay," I replied. "I'm going to send you a petition as an email attachment," the voice said. "Do you have access to a printer?" he asked. "Yes," I replied. "Good. Print the petition out on paper. It's only a few pages. Complete the petition to the best of your ability, and then we will meet and review your petition. Do you understand what you have to do for step 1? The voice asked. "Yes," I replied. "I can have a representative meet you to acquire the petition," he said. "Are you free Monday next week at 7 p.m. in a location in your city?" he asked. The suburban town I was staying in is a small place. I could literally walk anywhere in this town in less than 30 minutes. "Yes," I said. "Where should we meet?" I asked. "There is a 7-Eleven on Main Street. It's about 2 blocks west from the Rotary with the church. Do you know where that is?" The voice asked. I remember driving through that Rotary and down Main Street when I moved in with Anastasia. "Yes, you will meet your contact in the parking lot of that 7-Eleven at 7 p.m. Your contact's name is Philip," he said. "Is that you?" I asked. "No," he said. "Is your name really Rick?" I asked. "No." "What's your name?" I asked. "The only name you need to know right now is Philip, and the time and location," he said. "But you have this number, and you can call this number anytime if you have any questions or need assistance," he said. "What do you mean by if I need assistance?" I asked. "If you find yourself in a situation where you need assistance from the Brotherhood, you have the number to call. You can always ask. The worst case is we say no. When you become a member, your interests are our interests, and our interests are your interests. Do you understand?" The voice said. "Yes. Check your email because you've got mail. And thank you for calling today," the voice said, and then just hung up. That was a strange phone call. Also, I didn't like how he said, "when you become a member." I think an "if" would have been more appropriate than a "when." Anxiety was building inside me, especially in my gut. I felt like there was low-key drilling on my skull behind my head. I guess that's how I describe the headache thinking about this was giving me. I printed and completed the petition. It was mostly standard questions, like on a form for a job application. It really was just a few pages, and it took maybe 15 minutes to complete, not counting the time it took for a few things I had to look up. I wrote this with the same pen Anastasia wrote the number on that post-it note with, blue ink. I like the blue ink on the printed form because it pops a little bit on the white paper with the black ink from the printer. As Monday approached, the vibe just got worse and worse. I felt angry. My gut was twisting, and I was suppressing my intuition that this was a bad idea. On Monday, I walked to the 7-Eleven to be there on time. I was early for the meeting. There was another guy there who got out of a parked black Ford F-150 pickup truck. "Yo, long time no see," he said, and looked at me with this subtle side-eye. "Philip?" I asked. "Yeah, of course, buddy," he said. He was dressed pretty normal, in blue jeans and a navy-colored polo jacket. He didn't look official or counterculture either. He looked just normal, but the energy was sly, like he knew something I did not know, which I guess is for good reason. "I think there's people following me," I said. "Are they here?" Philip asked. It was then that I noticed the square and compass stickers on Philip's trucks. There was one on the rear right bumper and another one on the right back window behind where the passenger seat is. There was a white Honda in the parking lot. There was a guy in the driver's seat and a female in the passenger seat. "Them," I said, and kind of motioned with my eyes to point to the white Honda while not looking and definitely not pointing. There was also 4 or 5 teenagers in the parking lot, and they were a little bit rowdy and laughing and looking over at me frequently. And them, I pointed again with my eyes to a woman waiting near the door to the 7-Eleven. She was in a wheelchair, but was wearing a hoodie with the hood up over her head. That was weird. "And her," I said. "Don't worry about that," Philip said. "Do you have the petition?" he asked. I did. I handed it to Philip. I had carried it in a way in my bag so the paper would not fold. I think the sheets of paper look best when they have never been folded. Beautiful, clean, crisp, virgin paper. That's the most professional. "Nice to meet you," I said. In my body, I was feeling an impulse to run. You know that anxiety feeling when you are on full alert? Your heart rate goes up and you feel the pressure against your throat like an invisible hand is choking you. My mind was analyzing the whole situation. The orchestra of oddities and the micro expressions that were being communicated in this kaleidoscope of people and strangeness. Something is off. Too many things are off for my mind to manage right now. I got some quick eyeballs on me from various members of the array of people or actors or whatever this strange mix of characters is all around this 7-Eleven parking lot. Like they say in poker, if you don't know who the sucker is at the table, then you are the sucker. Nice to meet you, man. You have your petition now. I have to be somewhere, I said, and started to walk away fast, walking backwards, keeping my eye on Philip. I thought you'd want to come to the lodge, Philip said, and I just walked away, turning around finally, giving Philip my back as the distance between us grew quickly. I got away from that situation, Philip, and all those people. I felt my throat open up again. The pins and needles in my legs relaxed, and I could finally breathe again. Good job, I thought to myself. I was proud I didn't yield to the situation. Still, I was angry at myself for even getting into that situation. I didn't care if they thought I was weird. I am weird. I was just glad to be away from them. I didn't lie. I had to be somewhere. And that somewhere was anywhere where they are not. Later that night, I probably shouldn't have told Anastasia about the ordeal, but I did. You're lucky you didn't go to that lodge. They probably would have tortured you, she said. It was a weird thing to say, especially because she gave me the number. About the torture, whether physical or mental or spiritual, on some level I knew Anastasia was actually correct about that. Anastasia always seemed to have money, which was strange because her official job status is looking for a job. She had something like $50,000 in the bank. The story behind that money is that she was in some kind of car accident and she got some money because of it, like in a lawsuit or something like that. She would just say the headline statement about the money and not open the story box up for close inspection. Something was definitely not right about the money story and Anastasia. Her narratives were not adding up. The next day, Anastasia was acting really distant. She said to me, "Can you just go? What do you want me to do? Go back to the recovery house?" I asked. Then I asked her, "When you tell me to go, do you really want me to go or do you want me to stay?" She was crying. "I want you to stay," she said. This was adding to the surrealness of being with her. She was acting as though she wants me to go, but she is telling me to stay. Am I supposed to pretend to go, or just stay, or just actually go, or go and then come back? It's another double bind, and that is when I heard the knock on the door. The police were here. Her uncle was standing there a bit behind the police. He's a slightly overweight guy that enjoys wine and a luxury lifestyle. The police asked me to step out to the sidewalk, and a female officer brought me down away a little bit, so I was not standing in front of the house. Another set of police officers, a man and a woman, were standing next to Anastasia as she cried and sat on the doorstep in front of the front door of the house. The police officer was asking me questions. Anastasia was also talking to the police, but I was not able to know what she was saying. The police officer with me wanted to know why I was harassing Anastasia. She told me to stand there while she answered a mobile phone call. I heard her say on the mobile phone, "Do you want me to arrest him for rape?" This shocked me. Thoughts ran through my head of how this would land, and that people would believe I am lying even though I speak the truth. The police officer asked if I had been with Anastasia the night before. I said, yes. The fact is that the last time Anastasia and I were together was the night before. I didn't even want to, and without getting graphic, she wanted her gratification and got me to do it for her. The officer asked me how long I'd been at the house. I live here with Anastasia. She is my girlfriend, I said. Can you prove that? She asked. Yes, I get mail here. I have texts from her, I said. I showed the officer the last text Anastasia had sent me. The text was not even 24 hours old, and the text read, I love you, love you, love you, love you, love you. The text messages from Anastasia were always crazy like that. Can you show me the number that text came from? The officer said. Of course, I said, and I showed her. She left and joined the police officers near the front door with Anastasia to corroborate on the information and verify that the phone number was indeed Anastasia's. The police officer came back to me with a confused face and told me this. It seems like we're getting two different stories here. Between us, I would get away and stay away from these people. It is not the first time they have called the police just to cast us as free actors in their drama, she said. It was an interesting word to choose, cast. And all of this did feel more like a scripted theater than an actual happening reality. I am not going to arrest you, not for anything here, the police officer told me. But I am going to arrest you for an outstanding warrant, she added. So you can turn around and place your hands behind your back, she said, and she cuffed me. She walked me cuffed to the police car and put me in the back seat. I had an urge to resist, but I played it cool, thank God. So there I was, cuffed in a police car, not knowing what was going to happen on this day or in my life. I looked over the driver's seat and saw the power was on in the car, and all the dials were illuminated. I read the mileage odometer. It said 55555, and the short trip odometer read 333. Seriously, what are the chances? It's when these things happen, and they happen so often now, that I can see clearly that we are living in some kind of computer simulation or some kind of spiritual energy hologram. This can't be real, or rather, this is what real is. It is rendered things, situations, complete with the dark hive opposition and the light alliance there too. I got a tickling feeling in my back. I felt warm. I was overwhelmed with that goosebump feeling, and I shaked to wiggle it out. I know this is the most unlikely situation to feel good in, but I was overwhelmed with a warm tremble and felt somehow safe and protected, sitting there, handcuffed, in a locked police car. I felt that I was being saved by angels pretending to be police officers. They knew the game was getting real fast. A little too hotter than what I could take. So they were coming in to remove me from gameplay, to reset my energy levels and give me time to process all this information. They gave me time for my intuition to communicate with my logical mind. Were the police officers angels with good intentions in this situation? Turns out my intuition was right, because they really were. This is not the reason I say this, but the officer driving the car had a tattoo on the back of her neck. The tattoo was about the size of an actual butterfly, and it was the outline of angel wings, just there on the back of her neck below her back bottom hairline, while her hair was bundled up. She actually did not take me to a police department or jail. She took me to a kind of mental hospital. Looking back, I think that police officer understood my predicament and was trying to protect me from Anastasia and the spiritual darkness that has harnessed her soul and that house that I was living in. I don't believe Anastasia wants this darkness in her life, but she is not strong enough to resist succumbing to its influence. The police officer somehow knew that this energy was weaponized against me, but the evidence of the truth was too easy to see. So the police officers resented Anastasia and her family for playing them as fools and pawns in their dark chess game. It's probably more close to dark checkers for Anastasia, actually. At least for her, she would be able to say that she had to call the police. That would make a future victim narrative she would craft seem more believable if and when she needs the story. Thank God the police knew I really did need to go, and not the stay kind of go.
Not the stay kind of go. The stay kind of go.
That concludes part 2 of the 3-part series, In the next part, part 3, I will tell about the meaning of Anastasia's tattoos and the lies she told when I asked her questions about them. And there will be many more Gematria synchronicities. I finally will seek holy counsel and be betrayed there too. In part 3, I will start to discover my own power and start working on a plan to finally get out of hell. It's been awesome having you visit for this horrible tale. Dusk is a time of transition. It's an owl's wake-up call. As the shadows grow longer and darkness takes over, the only thing to fear is fear itself. You can also catch Smoking Owl Tales on Reddit, TikTok, Instagram, and X, the social platform formerly known as Twitter. A pure audio version of these tales is available as a podcast on Apple, Spotify for podcasters, Podbay, Google Podcasts, and TuneIn, amongst others. There continues to be multiple mind-blowing collaboration stories in the works, and many of them are based on real stories from listeners of the Smoking Owl Tales YouTube channel. If you feel the call, give a rip at the subscribe button and scratch at the comment. Smoking Owl now has released a debut track titled Eternal Soul. So now I know, I am an eternal soul. It is available on Spotify and all major streaming services. A link to the Spotify version of the track is available in the description, but you can find the track easily by searching Smoking Owl on your streaming service. So, when you're driving your second loop around the 285 in Atlanta and that company van with no phone number is still trailing you, you know which track to play. I am sincerely grateful for your presence here, so stay longer now or catch you on another night soon because the story goes on and on and on and on
and on and on and on and on and on and on.